My name is Lena Brooks, and I am 29 years old. Right now, I am lying in a hospital bed, feeling completely drained, physically and emotionally. I've just given birth to my triplets, and while this moment should have been one of the happiest in my life, it has turned into something out of a nightmare. My husband, the man I once loved and trusted, has betrayed me in the worst way possible. I never imagined that the person who once held my hand so gently would be the same man to hurt me so brutally. But before I tell you what happened tonight, I need to go back to the beginning, to the day I met Ryan Evans, the man I thought would be my forever. I met Ryan Evans when I was 24 years old. At that time, I was working as a receptionist at a small law firm in Riverside, a quiet city where nothing too exciting ever happened. My days were predictable, answering calls, filing paperwork, and scheduling meetings. But one Friday evening, something different happened. I had just finished my shift and decided to grab a coffee from a nearby cafe before heading home. The place was buzzing with life, groups of friends chatting, couples laughing, the smell of fresh pastries filling the air. That's when I noticed him, Ryan. He was sitting at a table with a group of guys, talking loudly and laughing in a way that made everyone around him notice. He had a certain charm, the kind that made him the center of attention without even trying. His dark brown hair was slightly messy, and his eyes had a playful glint. He looked confident, like someone who had never had to try too hard to get what he wanted. I didn't think much of him at first. He was just another loud guy in a crowded cafe. But then, as I walked past his table, his eyes met mine. And just like that, everything changed. "Hey, excuse me," he called out, flashing a grin. I turned around, surprised. "Me? Yeah, you." He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. "I don't usually do this, but I feel like I'd regret it if I didn't ask. Can I buy you a coffee?" I hesitated. He was bold, confident, and I wasn't sure if he was just playing around or if he really meant it. But something about his energy pulled me in. "All right," I said, shrugging. "But only if you promise not to regret it later." That made him laugh, a deep, genuine laugh.
Deal.
One coffee turned into a 2-hour conversation, and before I knew it, Ryan and I were seeing each other regularly. He was funny, exciting, and full of life, the complete opposite of my calm, routine-filled world. At first, it was amazing. He made me feel special, like I was the only woman in the world who mattered. He would surprise me with little notes, take me on spontaneous road trips, and always know how to make me laugh. Ryan worked as a car salesman and he had a way with words. He could convince anyone to buy anything, including me, into believing he was the perfect man. After a year of dating, he proposed. We were at the same cafe where we first met, sitting at the same table, when he pulled out a small velvet box. "Lena," he said, his voice unusually soft. "I never believed in love at first sight, but then I met you. I don't want to spend another day without knowing you'll be mine forever. Will you marry me?" Tears filled my eyes as I nodded, barely able to get the word out. Yes. I thought I had found my happily ever after. I had no idea that my perfect love story was about to turn into a nightmare. At first, married life felt like a dream. Ryan and I moved into a small but cozy apartment in Riverside, and everything seemed perfect. He was still the charming, affectionate man I had fallen in love with. He would wake me up with coffee in bed, surprise me with flowers for no reason, and hold my hand like he never wanted to let go. But slowly, things started changing. It wasn't something obvious at first, just small things. He would come home later than usual, saying he had extra work. He started checking his phone constantly, hiding the screen when I walked into the room. And then there was the money issue. Ryan always acted like he had things under control, but I started noticing red flags. His paychecks never seemed to last, and our joint bank account was always lower than I expected. Whenever I brought it up, he would laugh it off. "Relax, Lena," he'd say, kissing my forehead. "I know what I'm doing. You don't need to worry about money." But I did worry, because soon I started getting calls from credit card companies, bills that I had no idea existed. "Your payment of $2,000 is overdue. Your credit card balance is maxed out. If we don't receive payment, this account will go into collections." I was confused. I never opened a credit card in my name. But when I checked, I found out the truth. Ryan had taken out credit cards under my name without telling me. When I confronted him, he didn't even look guilty. Come on, Lena, it's just money. He rolled his eyes. I needed it, and you're my wife. It's not like I stole from a stranger. You stole from me, Ryan. I yelled, furious. This is fraud. You can't just. Don't start with your lectures, he snapped, his playful smile disappearing. I'm handling it, all right? Just let it go. That was the first time I felt afraid of him. After that, things only got worse. Ryan stopped acting like he cared. He would leave without saying where he was going, sometimes for an entire night. He became angrier, more impatient, snapping at me over the smallest things. One night, I found him drunk on the couch, muttering to himself, I don't need this. I don't need a wife nagging me. I should have waited, should have found someone richer. His words cut me like a knife. I wanted to believe this was just a phase, that stress or money problems were making him act this way. But deep down, I knew Ryan wasn't the man I thought he was. A few months later, I found out I was pregnant. Despite everything, a part of me hoped this news would change him, that he would realize we were starting a family and finally step up. That night, I sat him down, my hands trembling. Ryan, I have something to tell you. He barely looked up from his head. What? I took a deep breath. I'm pregnant. At first, he just stared at me, his expression unreadable. Then, he let out a harsh, bitter laugh. You've got to be kidding me. Ryan, No, Lena. You don't get it. He stood up, his eyes dark with anger. We can't afford a kid. Do you even think before making these kinds of decisions? This isn't just my decision. I cried. This is our baby. It's not my problem, he muttered, running a hand through his hair. I didn't sign up for this. His words felt like a slap. Ryan, this is your child. I never wanted a kid, Lena. I can barely take care of myself. How do you expect me to take care of a baby? That was the moment I knew. Ryan wasn't just neglecting me, he was planning to walk away from this completely. The months passed, and I went through my pregnancy alone. Ryan became colder, crueler. He barely spoke to me, except to complain. He stopped coming home some nights, and when he did, he would be drunk and angry. Every time I brought up the baby, he would brush me off or change the subject. One night, I asked him to come with me to a doctor's appointment. I'm working, he lied, even though I could see him sitting on the couch, watching TV. Ryan, I need you. He turned to me with a smirk. You're the one who wanted this, Lena. Don't expect me to play the perfect husband now. That night, I cried myself to sleep, holding my stomach and whispering to my baby, I'll protect you, no matter what. At 28 weeks, my pregnancy took an unexpected turn. I was at my baby shower, surrounded by friends, when I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my stomach. A wave of agony hit me, and I screamed, grabbing my belly. Lena, are you okay? My friend Mia shouted, rushing to my side. I could barely breathe through the pain. The baby, something's wrong. My friends rushed me to the hospital. Ryan arrived 2 hours later, annoyed. Seriously? You went into labor early, he muttered. Ryan, I need you to be here for this, I begged. He rolled his eyes but stayed. And then, the biggest shock of all happened. The doctor announced the first baby, a girl. Ryan frowned. Wait, we were supposed to have a boy. Then, a second baby came. A boy. Ryan's confusion turned to anger. What the hell is happening? He shouted. Then, the doctor said something that changed everything. There's another one. It's triplets. Ryan froze, his face draining of color. And then, just like that, the resentment turned into full-blown rage. No. No, no, no. This wasn't supposed to happen. I could barely process what he was saying. Ryan, what? He turned to me, his face twisted with anger. You just ruined my life, Lena. We can't afford 3 kids. Do you understand what you've done? My heart shattered. There are babies, Ryan. Ryan let out a harsh, bitter laugh. Babies? No, Lena. They're a burden. 3 of them? We'll be drowning in debt before we even leave this damn hospital. He shoved his hands through his hair, pacing furiously. Then, without another word, he stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind him. Tears spilled down my face. I felt completely alone, holding onto the tiny newborns, feeling like I had just lost everything. The nurses tried to comfort me, but nothing could fix the growing fear in my heart. Was Ryan going to leave us? I tried to calm my breathing, reminding myself that these babies were mine, and I would protect them, no matter what. Ryan had stormed out of the hospital room, his anger hanging in the air like a storm cloud. I sat in my hospital bed, my body aching from labor, my mind still struggling to process everything that had happened. The triplets were sleeping in their cribs, their tiny faces peaceful, completely unaware of the chaos outside this room. A part of me hoped Ryan would come back with a change of heart, that after stepping away, he would realize what he had just said and done. But deep down, I knew better. Ryan wasn't the kind of man to suddenly change. So when the door creaked open again, I braced myself. Ryan walked back into the room slowly, his face unreadable. His anger was gone, but something about him felt off, like he had made a decision while he was outside. He didn't look at me at first. Instead, he walked toward the babies, peering down at them in their cribs. "Triplets," he muttered under his breath, shaking his head. Unbelievable. I swallowed hard, my hands gripping the hospital blanket. "Ryan, what are you doing back here?" He turned toward me, his face suddenly calm. Too calm. "I found a way to fix this." I frowned. "Fix what?" He pulled a chair closer, sitting down across from me. His tone was eerily casual, like he was talking about something normal. "I met a couple in the waiting room," he said. "They can't have kids, and they're willing to pay $200,000 for one of ours." I froze. My heart stopped. Did he just say, "Sell one of our babies"? "What did you just say?" I whispered, my voice barely above a breath. Ryan sighed, like I was being difficult. "I'm saying we sell one of them, Lena. We can't afford 3 kids. But if we let one go, we get enough money to take care of the other 2 properly." "Sell one of them?" My voice was shaking now. "Ryan, there are children, not property." "Not." "Don't be dramatic," he cut me off, rolling his eyes. "People do private adoptions all the time. It's not like we'd be selling them to strangers. They're a rich couple. The baby would have a good life." I felt sick. My stomach twisted, and a cold sweat formed on my skin. "Are you insane?" I choked out. "You actually think I would give away one of my babies for money?" Ryan stood up sharply, shoving the chair back with his foot. "It's not just money, Lena," he snapped. "It's survival. We can't raise 3 kids. I'm doing what's best for us." I shook my head, tears burning my eyes.
"No, Ryan."
"You're doing what's best for you." "Lena, think," he yelled, pacing. "What's better? 3 kids struggling every day or 2 kids living a good life? You're being selfish." That word pushed me over the edge. "I'm being selfish," I shouted. "You're the one who wants to trade our child for money. You're a monster, Ryan." His face darkened, and in one swift motion, he lunged at me. Before I could react, Ryan's hand tangled in my hair, yanking me so hard that my head snapped back. "You always think you know best, don't you?" he hissed, his fingers digging into my scalp. I cried out, trying to push him off. "Ryan, let go." But he was too strong. His fist slammed into my jaw, sending a sharp, searing pain through my face. I gasped, tasting blood in my mouth. Another punch. I barely registered the pain this time. All I could think about was my babies just a few feet away. "Ryan, stop." I sobbed, trying to shield myself. But he was too far gone. "You ruined everything, Lena." He shook me violently, his breath hot and furious against my face. "You should have listened to me." And then, bang! The hospital door flew open. Hospital security guards stormed in. "Step away from her," one of them yelled, rushing toward Ryan. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. He hesitated, then pushed me away and bolted for the door. I collapsed, my vision blurry, my body screaming in pain. I heard shouting, nurses screaming. Ryan shoved past the security guards, knocking over a medical cart, and before they could grab him, he was gone. It was the security guards who called the police. As soon as they pulled Ryan off of me, one of them grabbed his radio and said, "We need officers in room 407 immediately. Domestic assault in progress." Another guard stayed by my side, asking if I was okay while we waited for law enforcement to arrive. Everything after that felt like a blur. A nurse helped me sit up, dabbing at the cut on my lip, while another wheeled my babies to a safer part of the room. A police officer arrived minutes later, notepad in hand. "Ma'am, I understand you just went through a traumatic event, but we need to act fast. Are you willing to file charges against your husband?" I didn't hesitate. "Yes," I croaked, my voice shaking. "I want him arrested. I want him to pay for this." The officer nodded. "We'll issue a warrant immediately. Do you have a safe place to stay once you're discharged?" My chest tightened. No, I didn't. Ryan and I shared our apartment. I had nowhere to go. Before I could answer, the hospital door opened again. I turned my head, expecting another nurse or officer. But instead, I saw a familiar face. Nathan Carter, Ryan's best friend. My heart sank. Was he here to defend Ryan? To convince me to drop the charges? Nathan's jaw was clenched, his eyes dark with concern as he rushed to my bedside. "Lena, my God, what did he do to you?" I blinked at him, confused. You're not here for Ryan?" Nathan's expression hardened. "I'm here for you. And the kids. Ryan crossed a line he can't come back from." Tears pricked my eyes. I didn't know why, maybe because for the first time in months someone was on my side. The officer cleared his throat. "Sir, do you know where Ryan might have gone?" Nathan exhaled sharply, rubbing the back of his neck. "No. But if he tries to contact me, I'll let you know. He doesn't deserve to get away with this." I swallowed hard. "I have nowhere to go," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. Nathan's eyes softened. "You do now. You and the babies can stay with me until we figure this out." I hesitated. I barely knew Nathan outside of being Ryan's friend. But what choice did I have? Finally, I nodded. "Okay." Leaving the hospital felt both freeing and terrifying. Nathan drove me and the babies to his house, a quiet, well-kept place on the edge of town. It felt safe, something I hadn't felt in a long time. But I knew safety was temporary until Ryan was behind bars. The moment we settled in, I called a divorce lawyer. "I don't just want a divorce," I told him. "I want full custody. And I want Ryan arrested." The lawyer sighed. "Given the circumstances, domestic violence, child endangerment, and attempted child trafficking, you have a strong case. But we need to move fast before he tries to fight back." I agreed. "I don't care what it takes. I want him out of our lives for good." Meanwhile, the police were actively searching for Ryan. He had completely disappeared. No phone calls, no credit card activity, nothing. It was like he had vanished into thin air. But I knew him well enough to know he was hiding, probably trying to figure out a way to escape town or manipulate his way back into my life. Nathan kept a close eye on everything, calling the police whenever he heard any rumors of Ryan's whereabouts. And then, after 3 weeks of searching, the police finally found him. Ryan had been hiding in a cheap motel outside of town, living off stolen credit cards and borrowed money. The police stormed the motel room at 3 a.m., catching him completely off guard. "Ryan Evans, you are under arrest for domestic assault, child endangerment, and attempted child trafficking," the officer announced as they handcuffed him. Ryan tried to resist, but he was outnumbered. The moment those metal cuffs locked around his wrists, his fate was sealed. The next day, I got the call I had been waiting for. "Lena, we got him." Tears streamed down my face. Finally. Ryan's trial was a whirlwind of emotions for me. The courtroom was quiet, save for the shuffling of papers and the occasional cough. I sat near the front, my lawyer beside me, the triplets safely at home under Nathan's care. The weight of everything that had happened seemed to press down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence: hospital security footage showing Ryan's violent attack, photographs of my injuries, and detailed police reports documenting his attempt to sell one of our children. They even brought in hospital staff who testified about hearing his threats and seeing his outbursts. The nurses and security guards described, in vivid detail, how they had to intervene as he lashed out. Ryan sat at the defense table, his head low, avoiding my gaze. He looked nothing like the man I once loved. He seemed smaller, more hollow. His lawyer argued that Ryan had been under tremendous stress, that he was desperate and acting out of panic. They claimed he had no intention of following through on the deal, that his words were a momentary lapse in judgment. The judge, a stern woman with silver-streaked hair, didn't flinch. Her voice was calm but firm. "Mr. Evans, what you did was not just a momentary lapse in judgment. It was a calculated act of selfishness that endangered your family and your own children." I held my breath, gripping the edge of my chair as she continued. "You chose violence against your spouse and attempted to exploit your own child for financial gain. This is not a case of temporary stress. This is a pattern of behavior that shows complete disregard for the welfare of others." The room was silent as the judge delivered her verdict. "I hereby sentence you to 15 years in prison without the possibility of early release. This court will not tolerate such acts of cruelty and exploitation." I felt a wave of relief wash over me. Ryan was going away. For a long time. He couldn't hurt me, the triplets, or anyone else ever again. As the gavel came down, I realized that this was more than a punishment for Ryan. It was closure for me. The chains that had bound me to a toxic, dangerous relationship were finally broken. But I wasn't done yet. Immediately after the trial, my lawyer and I filed for divorce. The court's ruling in my favor made the process swift and uncontested. Ryan was legally stripped of all parental rights. I was granted full custody of the triplets, and the judge finalized the divorce within weeks. I left the courthouse not just as a survivor, but as a free woman. Ryan was out of my life, both legally and emotionally. Finally, I could focus on rebuilding a safe and loving future for my children and myself. Months passed, and I finally started rebuilding my life. Nathan was there through it all, helping with the kids, supporting me through court, never once making me feel like a burden. One night, after the babies were asleep, we sat on his porch, sipping tea in silence. Then, out of nowhere, he said, "Lena, I know you've been through hell, but I need you to know something." I turned to him, my heart pounding. "What?" He took a deep breath. "I love you. I have for a long time. And I know it's too soon, but one day, if you'll have me, I'd love to be more than just the guy who helped you survive." Tears filled my eyes. For the first time in my life, someone truly loved me. I smiled. "Nathan, let's take it one day at a time." A year later, Nathan proposed, and this time, I knew what real love felt like. We had a small wedding with just close friends and family. My triplets, James, Noah, and Lily, walked down the aisle with me, holding my hands. And as I looked at Nathan, the man who had stood by me when I had nothing, I finally knew. I had survived. I had won. And this time, I had found the love I truly deserved. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please take a moment to give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a new update. We appreciate your support, and we look forward to bringing you more great content soon.